Okay, the next thing I'd like to tell you about kind of summarises all the things that I'm talking about here. And I usually draw a diagram, but as I don't have a flip chart, I'm going to draw the diagram by walking around the room. So, it's called the drama triangle. Has anyone ever heard of the drama triangle? Maybe I've spoken about it at a previous workshop. No? Okay, so here goes. The drama triangle outlines the roles in which we play in our life, from day to day in different circumstances. And I'll just give you each one of them. I have 3 roles. The first in the triangle, so the point of the triangle, is the victim. And the victim comes from a place of fear. The victim says, it's all my fault, poor me. And the victim associates with this feeling of fear, this feeling of it's all my fault. And before the victim knows it, the victim has associated so much with this emotion, but it actually becomes this person. So you might want to think about those little dwarfs, like Grumpy and Sleepy. It's associated so much with these feelings that it becomes a victim. It has a victim mentality. The next one is the persecutor. And the persecutor comes from a position of anger. The persecutor blames everyone else. It's all their fault. Everyone in the world is hopeless. Apart from me, I'm great. So the persecutor comes from a position of blame. And then we have the rescuer. Now, on the surface, the rescuer seems like a good person. But the rescuer comes from a position of guilt. The rescuer says, you're not okay and I'm not okay. And in order for us to both be okay, I need to help you. Which on the surface seems like a really nice thing to do. But the rescuer is actually holding that person back, because the rescuer isn't allowing that person to take responsibility and to help themselves. And I think you'll all agree that it's more empowering when we overcome our own challenges and when we do things for ourselves. So, rather than being the rescuer, the victim, or the persecutor, really the only thing we can do, the only really good position to work from, is to step outside of the triangle and to become an adult. And the adult takes responsibility. The adult comes from a position of responsibility and sees their challenge as something very exciting. The adult looks for challenges. The adult doesn't see problems. And the adult is the only position to be. So what I suggest is that you monitor yourselves, and when you find yourself skipping and hopping between these different roles, you just check yourself. Because, of course, we're all going to play these different roles. I do all the time. But it's about checking yourself and thinking, oh my goodness, I'm being a victim. What could I do to empower myself? And I was actually giving an example to one of the girls earlier about how I used to work in public relations. And I really wasn't happy. And it was very easy for me to say, the people in my office aren't very nice, and they're not giving me enough responsibility, and I don't like my job. It was easy for me to play the victim. And it wasn't until I left my job and set up my own company that I realised that they were never the problem. It was me. And those emotions I was feeling were really trying to point me in a new direction. Because you see, there is no power in a negative emotion. The only power it has is the power that we give it. And by confronting that emotion, we release all that power from it, and it neutralizes. So if we stop for a second, we stop being angry or sad, and we look for a solution, we will then empower ourselves and grow. A lot of us do associate with one or all of these roles. I'm sure you know people who do all the time. And what I suggest to you is that you look for ways to make changes. So by doing this personal inventory, that's a great way in order to empower yourself and to grow. Because we have 2 options. We can stay as we are, quite happily, quite safely, or we can step outside the triangle and we can grow. And I think all of you want to grow. I'm sure that none of you want to stay exactly where you are. Because you see, yesterday's fears quite often become today's strengths. And I used to be petrified of public speaking. That was my greatest fear. So what I'd like to ask you, the thought I'd like to leave you with is, what is your greatest fear?
Anyone?
No response. And I have a workshop coming up on the 21st of August, and it's all about communication skills. So communicating with yourself and communicating with others, because obviously our emotions have a knock-on effect on other people. So when we associate with these negative emotions, we majorly affect all the other people around us. And it's confidence boosting and communication skills. So if you're interested, I can give you a card and you can go to my website.
Brilliant. Thank you.